Previously on Titansgrave, the ashes of Valkana. As the party ventures on their mission for Voss, they begin to reflect back on what they've seen and been through.
It is interesting to me that all of you are broken in some way, and even in fact, this world itself has suffered loss.
Bereft of familial bonds, carefree childhoods, security, and innocence. Our heroes take solace with one another as they step towards the portal to the Prophet Dewan.
Eons before Valkana heard her own name, she bore witness to beings not of this realm. These ancients planted the seeds of life on Valkana, and as that life grew and civilizations formed, the thirst for supremacy blossomed into war. Gifted with an unmatched intellect, the Saurian Empire built mighty war machines and claimed dominion on Valkana, until the heavens themselves fell upon them. Valkana was plunged into darkness and 1,000 years of war. In this crucible, great heroes were forged, and together they extinguished the flames of battle. A new civilization was built on the ruins of the old, a peaceful world of magic and science. But the forces of chaos are patient and not easily contained. Left to fester, ancient evils threaten to emerge and unleash mayhem upon the world. And so to face them, new heroes must arise from the ashes of Valkana.
You have stepped through the portal that leads you to the tomb of the prophet. So, Aankia, upon entering the portal, you immediately appear alone in a bustling village. Next to you appear Lemley, Jeremy, and your father. You all stand watching people rich and poor intermingle with happiness. You feel a tug at your pant leg, and you look down, and you see your younger self. Young Aankia is smiling happily, but her eyes are glazed and vacant. You notice that the smaller version of yourself, the younger you, is holding hands with someone. Voss. Anger consumes you, and you lunge toward Voss with a blade in your hand. As you stab, your father blocks your path, shielding Voss. As your father drops from view, you see Voss laughing, now holding your blaster to the back of the little girl you refused to kill. You reach for your blaster, but you realize that your blaster is gone. Voss looks at you and says, "The girl or your father?"
This is an actual choice?
Yes.
I can't walk away from this situation?
No.
My father's already gone.
Voss looks at you, and he pulls the trigger. But the little girl is no longer there. Instead, it's a female Saurian, pleading for you not to look. She says, "Mommy will be okay." You look up, and you see that Voss has now become your father, crying and shaking his head. Your father mouths, "I'm so sorry," and pulls the trigger. Your mother's body falls. A hover car pulls up, and the back door opens. Your father drops the gun and runs over to the vehicle. The side door has a logo on it that says, "The Voss Group." A man steps out and he passes a crying bundle to the father, who immediately drops to his knees, cradling the infant. The car disappears in a cloud of dust as the father rocks the infant and says, "Everything will be all right now, Aankia." He turns to face you, standing behind him. But his eyes are dry and angry. He stands and lets the blanket unfurl, revealing one of his puppets. The puppet becomes your father and begins to dance and laugh, maniacally, terrifyingly. As it dances, it moves towards you, growing in size, its laughter growing more spasmodic and higher pitched. It grows larger and closes in on you. It knocks you to the dirt. As you lie in the dirt, Jeremy appears before you. He looks down on you. There is deep pity in his eyes. She calls for help, but he just stands there, shaking his head side to side. You begin to cry. But your crying is not that of an adult. It is the crying of an infant. Jeremy picks you up and cradles you. As he begins to rock you, a bionic arm latches onto you and pulls. You cry out in pain, in fear, unable to move as the blanket tightens. You look up and see that Jeremy is now a giant, blotting out the sun, tugging against Lemley, who is also a giant. You feel your body begin to tear. You feel the tension in your skin climax, the elasticity snaps and yields to the greater force. Lemley and Jeremy's giant faces fill your field of vision, and in unison they boom. Choose. Choose. Who do you choose?
I choose Lemley.
You open your eyes to blackness. You can feel yourself floating, but your senses are otherwise enveloped by dark. A voice, soothing, comforting, and familiar, whispers, "Aankia, open your eyes and bear witness." You open your eyes and see a small blue light. The light flattens and cuts through the black. Its ends race toward unseen horizons to the left and right. The thin blue line is illuminated by a deep purple hue that begins to brighten, revealing blue, then red, then orange, until a yellow sun peeks out. As the sun rises, two saurian eyes lift above the horizon. The voice speaks louder. "Aankia, open your eyes and your heart. Yield to the darkness, for it begets the light." The horizon launches, stretching backward, farther away, as the sun rises higher and the eyes lift into full view. They blink. Beneath Aankia, a pair of saurian arms appear. Aankia's body appears and drops into the arms as they cradle her. The giant eyes blink and their outer corners crinkle, bowing to an unseen smile. The darkness erupts into a kaleidoscope of beautiful, colored scales, radiating happiness, joy, contentment, and serenity. Within the pitch is a single stone, sturdy and unyielding. Upon that stone is where you stand. The darkness consumes the color, the arms dissipate, and its eyes blink shut. A single flat gray rock comes into focus. Atop it is little Aankia, crying. Though you were alone, you found your feet. And in the unwavering certainty of that void, you did not bend. Little Aankia has stopped crying, and she grows, ages, becomes taller, stronger, prouder, until she sees herself as she was, just before she stepped into the portal. A beacon Upright and steadfast against the storm, you led others from the dark. The stone stretches and the shadows retreat from her hands, fading to reveal Slethk, Kiliel holding one hand, Jeremy sitting on her shoulders, and Lemley holding her other hand. Lightning must strike, just as thunder will roar, and the sea cannot still its rage. But you will have and will continue to weather the storm. The reflection of Aankia with her friends fades as she feels the weight of family hands and Jeremy's robot butt give shape to her family. You close your eyes and are pulled from the black.
Thanks for not making me make another terrible choice, Wil.
Kilio, as you pass through the portal, you open your eyes to find textured blue ice. You don't feel the cold. You don't quite yet grasp what you are experiencing. As moments pass, you begin to feel a sense of panic. You can feel your arms, your legs, every tiny hair on your tiny body, but you cannot move. Panic begins to rise in your throat, and the heat of anxiety spiders from your stomach, and the ice becomes transparent. Moving shadows begin to take shape, and then familiar voices fill the minuscule spaces between your skin and the freezing ice. You hear your elven father laughing heartily, and your mother sighing with happiness. They both call out to you, longing, hoping to find you. They have to show you something. They must give you something that they both together have been wanting you to have. You see your mother and father approach, and they are covered in fire. As they get closer, the ice begins to melt. You writhe in anticipation. You vibrate at the prospect of being freed from where you are. But the fire extinguishes in a buffet of air. Your mother looks confused and looks to your father. They have both become charred, blackened corpses that continue to grow more and more concerned as they look at each other. Sweetheart, your mother leans to the ice, inches from you. Why don't you come see what we've got for you? It's so beautiful. It's so incredible. It's what you've always asked for, honey. Your elven father kneels down, his eyes even lower than yours. Kiliel, I want you to know I love you. I cannot express how sorry I am for how terrible a father I have been. I want you to have this gift. I want you to take it and do with it as you please. I want only for you to be happy and to feel the love you so richly deserve. Your eyes begin to ache and bleed. Your hands begin to burn and throb in the ice. Honey, this is your choice, your mother says, reaching for your eyes. It's your choice, Kiliel. Yours and yours alone, says your elven father, as he reaches toward your hands, lovingly. Does your mother free your eyes, or does your elven father free your hands?
My elven father frees my hands.
You try to scream, you try to cry, as your father reignites, his body cloaked in fire. He grins a wide, toothy smile as he plunges his hands into the ice and takes hold of yours at the wrist. He pulls, but your tendons moan. He yanks and tugs, but the bone splinters. With one final gritting heave, your hands break loose. Your body is enveloped in molten heat. Your vision, your ears, your nose, your mouth flood with boiling blood and suffocating dark. Within the gnashing static of anguish, a sensation rises to the surface in your mind. It is warmth. It is warmth soft and gentle. Your hands, you can feel something. Someone touching your hands. You remember these hands, these calloused hands. The coarse wired hair dampened by sadness and regret. A voice, the faintest whisper, bubbles in your skull. Kiliel, my little potato, my sweet. I have returned. I have finally come home. We can live together now. Be together. That voice, the thick draw of soothing tones and perfect words you have longed to hear your entire life. Come, little one. You needn't be in pain anymore. The voice of your mother pierces the moment, a blade slicing through the taut membrane of the momentary calm. And she says, choose us or him.
I choose him.
You're in a flat white room. You look down to your hands, and you gasp as you realize you can see them. A wave of relief paces over you and pulls you to the floor. You listen to the rush of your breath and feel the rise of your chest, aware of your body and thankful for the stillness. A voice whispers, barely audible, little one. Hey. Psst. Your eyes dart around the room, corner to corner. Oi! A small shape adorned in white bounces up and down, arms waving. You gasp and then you begin to laugh. A heavy, thick laugh that fills the room. You bend to your knees and you reach down, palms open. This tiny figure, tinier yet than you, stumbles forward and climbs into your palm. Hey, lift me up, would you? I can't keep yelling. It's hurting my throat. You bring your palm up and you rest it on your knee. You see that it's a very tiny elf, just like you. Thank you. You have no idea how difficult it is to get someone's attention when you're small. The elf lets out a sigh of relief and sits. So, what do you think in regarding all of that? He leans forward and whispers loudly, all that that just happened. Well, at least it's over. Put me down real quick. As Kiliel begins to put her hand down, the elf leaps forward into the air and grows rapidly. Its head and feet crash into the floor and the ceiling, causing the whole room to shake. When you open your eyes again, the elf's head has smashed and reshaped. Its hair is unfurled into coarse red and brown braids, and a beard, a mighty beard, streaming down almost to the floor. The man rubs his head and he says, "Oi, forgot about that. It's never easy being so small. And it's always hard being so big. I guess it's all in that first leap out, huh?" He smiles and he kneels down, towering over you. He puts his hand palm up onto the floor, and you step into it. He brings his other hand up over your head and chuckles. "Throw one of them freezing ones real hard for me, huh? That's my girl." The hands close around you as a smile forms on your face. Sleth, as you step through the portal, you are surrounded by the smell of ancient leather and paper. You open your eyes to the familiar looming shadows of bookshelves and along a wall of tomes. You recall a task you were just about to do. You push back from a table and stand and stretch in the closing darkness. You remember it was a book. Of course it was a book. But the title, the subject, you can't quite remember what it was you were yearning to read. But a stench begins to rise. The rot of flesh being chewed and digested. The sound of claws and teeth crawling over one another and swarming around you. You fight a heat in your gut until you tear at your face and your innards spill out and land on the floor in front of you. A torch flares into life behind a smeared glass door in front of you. "Slizzard! Slizzard!" Dozens of tiny hands wipe and bang on the glass, calling at you. Windows rattle behind those books covered decades before. The sounds of writhing insects click and roll at your feet. Looking down, that bile begins to throb and wriggle as hundreds of individual insects kick and bite against the film of the vomit until it gives away. You fall backwards as they multiply rapidly and ascend, forming a floating mass of robe and smoke. A wet, frothy laugh seeps up from the pillar of smoke and robe. The pests begin to fade, begin to crawl away and hide in the folds of what becomes cloth. My, come calling upon me once more. You cretinous reptiles are all the same. It wasn't enough that I delivered you from death once before. Monstrous cracked leather wings begin to unfold from its back. Each bone and joint pops and stretches. The rasp of haired skin creaks as they open and flap against the air. Bow to me, you limp-jowled newt! The beast rushes forward and strikes you. The phantom lifts its arms and countless vermin tumble out and begin to cover you. Do you bow, or do you remain standing?
I remain standing.
It leans close to you, and it says, I am what you worship in the dark. The shade you find solace beneath, the tar in your weak veins. I am your god. Thump, 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 thump. Red masses explode in front of your vision as you attempt to focus. Blinding sun surrounds you as you try to lift your hand to shield your eyes, but your hands are held low, shackled by chains at your wrist that run to your ankles. Another storm of red, fleshy explosions pelts a surface in front of and around you. Tomatoes bouncing and splattering against a force field, surrounding you on all sides. Come one, come all! The freak of the week is now the monster of the month! Half orc, half saurian, half hog, half lizard, half slave, half master, ha ha! The list goes on. Come, see the abomination of the gods on high. Let him stew, let him cook. Let all of you, the fine folk his very presence offends, provide the judgment he so woefully deserves. A wet rag slaps the glass and wipes clean the dripping trash. A rotund, sweaty face appears. You gonna die now, weirdo? I'm sorry, I'm not sure who you are, but you are gross. Money is money, and your life's only worth any if we end it. The face pulls back, and you see a crowd. Every face is warped and twisted, blistered and bubbling in laughter and spittle. You sniff a hint of decay and pincers. Clicking mouths and rolling carapace appear and vanish across every face. Half hog, half lizard, I like that. A flicking tongue runs the edge of your ear. Yes, I can taste them both. The laughing fades into the white noise of chants and rotting vegetables. The heat becomes unbearable. A wave of noise overtakes you. The same crowd is chanting, but the sound of pelting and impact is far away. Lemley stands above you. Hey, mister! Mister! She slaps you with her metal hand, hot and hard. Ah, geez, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you so hard. It's a reflex. You okay? She grabs your arm and drags you upright and dusts you off. You went down hard. You okay? I guess seeing something like this is pretty intense. Kind of disgusting, isn't it? I mean, it's sad too. That guy up there's super cute. Kind of looks like you. That's weird. You look up and you see your brother in chains. The time has come, boys and girls. Time for the field to drop. The crowd hollers and cheers. Their voices rise in murderous unison. The chained creature on the stage locks eyes with you and looks at you. Brother? Brother, is that you? It cries. Brother, please! Lemley looks at you. You know that guy? Is he your brother? What are you doing? Lemley begins shoving the crowd aside and pulls you towards the orc who is in chains on the pedestal. The order unfurls from the floor and stands. What is this? A brother? Lemley turns to you and points to the guy in chains and says, So we gonna bust him out of here? Or are we gonna buy him? How do you respond?
We're gonna bust him out.
You see an iron mallet. You grab for it, and in one fluid motion bring it down on the chains, shattering them. The crowd gasps and falls silent. The orator begins to protest, and as he does, you look down to see that the chains that bind you have been broken, but your hands begin to transform into claws as the skin peels away and the bones grind and flex against the metal. Your head erupts and uncoils in a spray of teeth. All is darkness, but your keen sense of hearing and the ability to track things by vibration tells you precisely where your quarry is. You become Kinagidius. You howl and consume Clath. You awaken to the familiar scent of ancient leather and paper. The comfort lost as you leap from the table. A small candle wavers and flickers in response. Your wrists sway with more weight. And as you lift your sleeves, you see that the shackles remain, though the chain is broken. The sound of something falling, wood hitting stone behind you. Clank, clunk, thunk, 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 thunk. The Staff of Forlorn Hope rolls and teeters in the cracked ground, but it is different. No glowing crystal, no ancient glyphs. Its magic is gone. It is but a pretty object. You bend over and pick up the staff. As you do, the wood splits into two pieces. The stench of death fills the room. It seems I no longer possess you entirely. What fun it will be to envelop you all again. The piece of staff in one hand cracks and lights, emitting black and purple flames, after images of a dancing hearth casting shadows. Take the other half. Worship me as you have, and I will grant you power greater than you have ever known. The thinnest voice an apparition calls out, "Brother! Brother, wait, brother! This is not your home any longer. Cast aside the darkness. In it you have hidden. You have found comfort in stillness and solitude. But you are no longer a forgotten form blending with the shadows." The phantom hisses and spits at the apparition. Bugs and scum billow out from beneath its robes, and they engulf Clath. The phantom laughs, a malevolent crackle filling the darkened archive. Then silence. Light. Static. Electricity arcs outward, touching the walls, the books, the tapestries. It sets them ablaze. The other half of the staff bounces as it shakes with power. Power and strength in the dark. In the dark, power and strength. Without it, I take back what is mine and you return to the void. The staff drops from your hand. The phantom knocks you back into the books, into the shadows. Within the shadows, you see the book you have come for. The book that for so long has sat just outside of your reach, just beyond the grasp of your memory, at your feet, in a small circle of light, two pieces of a broken staff. Do you take the book? Do you take the staff?
I take the book.
Takes the book.
Seems like the safer choice for us.
You laugh. Never judge a book by its cover. As you grab the book, the chains lock together, binding your hands. The book opens and pages turn, lightning flashing between each page. As the page stops, a bolt of lightning launches from your hands, obliterating the shadow, and catapults you out of the dark and through the portal. Lemley. Upon entering the portal, you find yourself alone in the room you just stepped out of. The portal is the only exit. What do you do?
I sit down.
You sit down, and your saurian father appears before you. You call out to him and try to touch him, but he vanishes. What do you do?
I get up. I feel along all the walls. I look back at the portal.
As you approach the portal, you hear movement behind you. You turn to find your saurian father and saurian mother standing where you had just been sitting. You call out to them and try to touch them, but they vanish. The room is again empty. What do you do?
I walk really fast and try to go through the portal.
You step through the portal. The portal becomes your locket. You step into your locket and it closes. You open your eyes to find yourself in a water trough outside a small cottage. A horse drinking from the trough looks at you, nuzzles you affectionately, and returns to drinking water. You notice that the street which runs alongside this trough is bisected by a mirror. The mirror runs the length of the horizon. Behind you is a small house. Looking through the window, you see your saurian mother and father. They're sitting at the dinner table, eating, talking, and laughing. You begin to panic. You run toward that front door and slam into another mirror. As you turn around, you hear a young girl yelling, "Mommy, Daddy, look what I made!" A moment later, the house is ripped apart by an explosion. You blink your eyes, and you are back in the same room. Alone again in the room, you reach for your locket, but it's gone. You turn around and you see that the portal has been replaced with a large version of your locket. You try to pry it open, but you can't seem to move it. You feel hot breath on your neck, the familiar, friendly nuzzle of a familiar, friendly horse. You look back and see the horse. When you turn back, the portal is gone. When you look back at the horse, it opens its mouth and devours you whole. You land in the trough, but there is no horse. The mirror running the horizon of the street still bisects all you see. You stand to look in the window once more. You whisper under your breath, "No, please, not again. Not again." The familiar sounds of footsteps grow louder as a little girl yells excitedly, "Mommy, Daddy, come look what I made!" Just as the girl approaches the front door, she banks to the left. She runs into the mirror and runs up it into the sky. In the distance, an explosion. When Lemley looks back into the house, her parents are sitting at the table, looking straight at her. She hears a click as the front door unlocks just on the side of the house. As you begin to move, you hear pounding, fists on glass. You turn and see the little girl, yourself, banging on the mirror from the other side, crying hysterically and telling you to stop. Choose the front door or the mirror.
The mirror.
You approach the mirror cautiously. As you get closer, The small girl begins to calm down. As you near the mirror, the girl begins to smile, and her tears begin to stop. She leaps from the mirror, attaching to you in a full-bodied hug, and whispers in your ear, "Tick, tick, 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 Lem, Lem." And she explodes. The explosion hurls you through the window and back into the portal room. When you stand, you are covered with blood that is not your own. Your clothes have burned away completely, exposing your entire body as being bionic. Turning around, you see the mangled corpses of your parents, their heads intact, eyes locked on you. You scream and fade into darkness. You wake up in the same room. You step into the portal and appear in a hallway. Looking out, the house you are in is empty. The left door has a sign hanging from it, decorated in horses, and a bubbly font that says Lemley. The middle door has a flat, blocked letter font, and it says Lemley. The right door is charred and singed, still smoking around the edges. The sign hanging from the door in metal crossbeams, long-running fuses and bolts reads, Lemley. Do you choose the center door, the left door, or the right?
Choose the right.
The door behind you slams shut, and a light slowly illuminates the room. You are standing again in front of the same 3 doors. Which do you choose?
Jeez Louise. Go for the middle door.
The door creaks open, revealing the same hallway. You are standing in front of the same 3 doors.
I go to the last one. I go to the one on the left.
You enter a dark room. The light does not turn on. Instead, light begins to glow from the locket around your neck. It begins to glow and lift. You touch it and the room illuminates. The room is empty. The locket tugs at your neck, leading you down the hallway. As you follow it, the room stretches away from you, keeping you in the doorway. You remove the locket from your neck. It floats to the center of the room and opens. From inside the locket emerges a ladder, a very tall ladder. The ladder comes out, topples forward and rests on the floor. The top of it still leaning against the locket. From inside the locket emerges a human arm. It reaches out, searching, and finds the ladder. It pulls itself up. A man climbs halfway down before turning and smiling at you. A female hand emerges, finds the ladder, pulls itself out. The man reaches back to help her. She steps out, and you look into the faces of your human mother and father. Your mother is beautiful. She looks nearly identical to you. The man helps her off the ladder. They extend their arms and walk toward you, but the room grows and does not allow them to close the distance. You take steps toward them. The room grows further. As you stop, the room begins to contract. Your parents get within inches of you. Your mother reaches over and she hugs you. You smell her hair. You feel her joyful tears on your neck and shoulder. They mingle with the tears of your father, who also embraces you in a hug. You look up to them, but before you can speak, they are pulled back into your locket, which drops to the floor. You pick it up and open it. Inside is a picture of your mother and your father, and you, as you are presently, with your bionic arm and leg. You are all smiling. On the opposite inside of the locket, a small engraving says, "Just the three of us, no matter when or where." You place the locket around your neck, climb the ladder, and emerge next to your friends.
Let's go. Next time on Titansgrave, the Ashes of Valkana.